Hello there guys, it's me, NexGenStriker here, and today it's finally time for another rant, and this time we're going to talk about the current generation of gaming. I think it's like the 8th, ninth, 7th, somewhere in there, I'm not really sure, but because I haven't been around through every generation, so I wouldn't exactly know, and then there's a lot of technicality. So we're just going to talk about a lot of different things in this current generation. First, let me just go ahead and talk about the good since this is a rant. I'm going to focus on the bad because there's a lot of it in this generation. But let me just go ahead and start off positive here. Let's start off on the right foot for all you haters who are instantly going to dislike. So let me just say that there's some good things. Like, first off, I feel that the wireless support for controllers was a great idea. Really, finally we don't have to deal with the wires anymore getting out of control and, looking like a mad science experiment all over your room. But, finally we got that. We also had online support, which was pretty good if you wanted to play with friends. You could talk with people and you could download games, which was, the indie games were amazing this generation. They were great. I loved a lot of them. And as far as anything else that came out, that's pretty much the good graphics, HD graphics, and the fact that you could play Blu-rays on your PS3, that was pretty cool. And then, just some of the features that came with the game systems. Now, let's focus on the bad here since this is a rant. There were some serious major problems with this generation. A lot of people consider this the worst generation of all time. And honestly, I can agree with that. Now, there's some major points that I'm going to discuss here. The first one that I should probably focus on is probably the graphic whores. Now, I don't know what it is about these people. I guess they've been spoiled now. I think it's mostly the younger kids that say this. But what's happened is games now, like I've said, have got really good graphics. But there are those games who don't have as good of graphics or aren't as realistic, as dark and gritty, that are really overlooked. Like, let me show you an example here. And I just knocked over my bottle of water. That's not good. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Didn't have the greatest graphics, like I said. I think the graphics did hold the art style back because it was a really neat art style. Kind of held back, but it was still a good game. But a lot of people on every one of the videos would say, I'm not getting this game, it has horrible graphics. You can't judge a game on the graphics. Let me just go ahead and say that. And here's another one. Prince of Persia, which is another kind of core gaming thing, which, again, I liked it. I think the art style really complemented the gameplay, considering that you brought the world back to life. And this is somewhat an older game, so some of you might not have played it or experienced it, but it is a good game. I think it's really my favorite Prince of Persia game, to be honest, because I didn't really get into the older ones. Not really my fault, but, And, yeah, people will hate on graphics just because it has a unique art style, a more cartoony, and cartoony isn't as good as realistic graphics. So, I don't know what's up with that. So, it's just like, people, have a more open mind with your gaming. Like, seriously, you can't... Where did I put them? I just put them down. You can't just say, oh, well, it has cartoon graphics. Oh, we gotta have something realistic. We gotta have some people's heads getting blown off. We can't have cartoony graphics that degrades the game. Gotta be HD. Gotta be 1080p. Blah blah blah. Ignorance of people. It's really stupid. So that's really the first point. Not too much to say on that. I mean, it's pretty obvious. As soon as I say it, you guys already know what I'm talking about. So there you go. And here's a brief little thing I wanted to point out, which has been another fueled debate in gaming. This is my 3DS case, by the way. Oh yeah, gotta do this. Sorry. Okay, so the big thing, which I know these are from two different generations, but the DS versus the PSP. Now, I'm not saying 3DS versus PSP because that's not technically fair, but the DS and the PSP and the 3DS and the PS Vita have been at it forever. Mainly the fanboys, not Sony and Nintendo, obviously, because they have better things to do than say, oh, I hate you, Sony, and blah, blah, blah. They're a little bit more grown up than the fan bases are. The big thing with the fan bases is that they'll say, oh, well, the DS has kiddie games and the graphics are crap. And look at the PSP, it has internet browser and it has blah, blah, blah. It has... You can play motion games and you can text friends and all this stuff. Which, again, people, I say, it's all about the games. Okay, it's all about the games. It's not about features. These are game systems. These are not like phone or something. It's not like that. It's the game system, which at the end of the day, you play games on it. You don't buy it to get on the internet. You can buy a computer for that. You buy it to play games. And I think that's just a really ignorant thing that people argue all the time. They'll say, "Oh well, that Nintendo 3DS just has Mario on it, but PS Vita has Uncharted, and Uncharted's better." Yeah, stupid. So my next point. Let's get on with that. Okay, so my next point, I briefly kind of forgot, so I had to switch over. But hey, now I'm back. My next point is DLC and re-releases. Now you guys already know what I'm going here. Assassin's Creed, overrated. Re-release. Call of Duty, re-release. You get the point. And then you've got all the DLC that comes with each one, which I say Call of Duty is by far the worst about DLC. Worse than Capcom. I gotta give them props for that. They're worse than Capcom. I mean, seriously, they have how many, like 4 or 5 map packs per Call of Duty? So think about that. Most people get it day one, the people that buy all the DLC. So you got $60 there. And that's just if you don't get the, Super Edition or whatever. And then you have Call of Duty Elite, which they'll all buy because, I don't know. And then they have all the DLC, which again equals another Call of Duty game. And I don't know if it's really the people that buy the DLC that's the problem. Well, I mean, it is because they keep fueling it. But these people, the game developers, just see this as like a huge win. They're just like, oh, right, we can pull stuff out of our game and then we can re-release it. Capcom. And then people will buy it and then people will be like, yeah, all right, more DLC for my game. And then when hackers see it, they're just like, oh, well, that was already on the game, guys. And people are just like, and it's just the ignorance of game developers and gamers in general who buy all this crap. They should know that it's not good, but they still do it. And I hate to say this, Batman, you're one of my favorite games ever. Actually, probably my favorite game this generation, but what is this? What is this? First day release, we already have DLC, Catwoman, and this wasn't a pre-order exclusive, so that really doesn't make any sense as to why they even did it. But, we all know what it's about. Like, seriously, you knew people were going to buy this game. You knew people were going to buy it. But you just had to rip people out of their every last dollar, didn't you, Rocksteady? Yeah, it is Rocksteady. My bad. It is Rocksteady. I was going to say, no, that's not Rocksteady. Yeah, it is Rocksteady. But you know why they have to do that? Why is there so much DLC, oversaturation? And yeah, Resident Evil 5 is one of them. How ironic. But it's like ridiculous. Why? Why do they have to keep doing this? And I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. And then the re-releases again, mainly because things are going stale because of people re-releasing this crap over and over. Assassin's Creed, a prime example, and Call of Duty, again, another prime example of things that keep getting re-released. People will say, oh, well, they've changed this and this, but really they don't change that much, so I don't see what's going on there. And then my favorite, by far the pinnacle of stupidity that has reached the gaming generation is the mature stamp. I don't know what it is, but this generation there have been more mature games than anything else. And even the games that have been T or E have been ridiculous. Like, listen to Uncharted and hear how much language there is. Like, I'll listen to it and I'll be like, wow, Jak and Daxter only had like 1 or 2 words, but now this one has like 50. Ridiculous, and it's still T. And then there's all the ignorance in gamers that are just like, oh, well, this is mature, so it's automatically better than this, even though it might be funner, It's not about ratings, it's about having fun. Again, I can bring this into consideration. Oh, well, it's Zelda, it's E, it's kiddies. Kiddies play Zelda. Mature people play Call of Duty. It's all about the shooting and it's about all that stuff, which oversaturation of the gaming market is another serious problem. How many first-person shooters have we had this generation? Don't even try to counter answer that question. I mean, it's just like game developers have gotten so unoriginal because of the ignorance of gamers who think, oh, first-person shooters are bust. Which I don't understand where this came from. Back in the days of early gaming, the early Nintendo, everything looked kiddie-ish and everything was the same rating, but people still bought the Marios and the Zeldas and they bought Rambo and they bought blah, blah, blah. It goes on forever. But people nowadays are just really close-minded, and they instantly see an E game or they see a cartoony graphics game, and then they see an M game, they're like, oh, gotta have an M game, gotta have an M game. And Call of Duty's, again, another prime example for this one too. People say, oh, well, Call of Duty is the pinnacle of gaming. I actually had an example of this. This is actually hurting our generation really badly. I have a church thing I go to where I kind of help out kids with stuff. And all they talk about, I'm not kidding, all of them, all they talk about is Call of Duty. That's it. Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. I can't stand it. It gets on my nerves. Like, why? Who put this in your mind that Call of Duty is the pinnacle of gaming? I want to know, who did this? It's probably the people that thought Modern Warfare 1 was good, which it was kind of a revolution at the time, so it's understandable, but now it's just oversaturated, and that's kind of what happens. Like what happens with everything that goes to Hollywood, or everything, that just gets popular, just gets oversaturated and overrated. That's what happens, and I hate it when that happens, but it happens all the time. So yeah, there's been a lot of things I've talked about in this video, and again, the maturity of gaming, this is the prime example of stupidity from this generation. I don't understand why having an M rating just instantly makes it cool, or everyone will just go and hate on people that like Mario and Zelda, which what's wrong with Mario and Zelda? They're always critically acclaimed games, so if people don't like it, then they should just get over it. People need to quit being noobs, quit being these idiotic people who think they know everything, and just have a more open mind. So that's all I had to say, guys. Hope you enjoyed today. I couldn't unleash too much rage because there was really just so much to talk about. I just wanted to get the mind flowing. I wanted to get back into ranting. So there you go. Run with it. See what you like about it, and see you guys later.